Mr. PRITAM Singh should step down then.
I don't think he lied to Parliament. This is their way of setting the WP up for even more crisis.
Are now okay with a leader that omits the truth.
How come nothing of this scale happened when Mr. Tan Chuan Jin was revealed to have extramarital affair?
Whatever you want to do, just get it over with because we have things that we care about more.
No one actually realizes how difficult this is actually for the PAP.
Whoa!
Emergency episode.
Leader of the House, Indrani Raja, filed a motion for Parliament to consider PRITAM Singh unsuitable to be leader of the opposition.
Jang.
Dredging up a conversation that has been going on for 4 years.
Jang.
We are going to talk about the PRITAM Singh trial and what's going on now essentially because there's been hotly debated on Reddit. August 2021, lies were told. There was a COP hearing later on in December 2021 and then the report came out in 2022 about who lied, whether or not this was correct. Did you submit false evidence? That was also contested by PRITAM in Parliament, saying that there were gaps and omissions in the COP report.
Mr. PRITAM
But
Singh.
never mind, we move on. And then 2 years later, after the case was referred to the public prosecutor, charges were brought against him for 2 counts of giving false evidence to a parliamentary committee. And then he was convicted in February 2025, guilty of both counts. He appealed and he lost his appeal in December 2025. Last week, January 2026, Leader of the House, Indrani Raja, filed the motion for him to be removed as Leader of the Opposition.
John, where's your pitchfork?
Whoa!
To get things started early.
Come Raja, you say something lah. Say something inflammatory toward the PVP.
I'm sitting on the far left position of the table. I'm going to be extremely objective.
Okay.
Fact-based only. I actually think that this is all PRITAM's doing. I believe it's his fault.
Shut up.
And I think
PAP paid you off.
So Raja has a price now. I know it's probably the worst tone to set right from the start, but is anyone not tired of this whole case?
I thought in your introduction that you were going to say every time this development comes out, Singaporeans be like, we're not done.
That's true.
Yeah, that was my sentiment. Until I learned last week only that in 2022, Parliament voted on a motion to table this until the results of the judges
The legal proceedings.
Yeah, no, until the results were given, only then will Parliament talk about parliamentary discipline. First and foremost, if I were to go a couple steps back, right, would you say you agree with the verdict of the judge? He is deemed to have lied during the committee of inquiry.
Yeah.
Right? But in Parliament, he never lied. He didn't do shit. He just, that's the problem.
Which is why
right?
Rezt
He
didn't get into any legal trouble because speech is protected in Parliament. It's just that I believe that as he said, his intention was to tell her that to go and clarify it, and then he won't judge her for whatever option she chooses to do, either be it own up, resign, whatever. He conveyed a message to her that she, of all people, with enough brain that she has, should have been to take it as Mr. PRITAM is telling me to go and own up to the truth, admit my mistake, probably resign from my seat.
He did say after the COP report came out that Raisa Khan's claim that he asked her to take this to the grave was unverified.
Because only she said it. And
She
the
said,
only person in this entire case who went up and admitted that they lied was Raisa Khan. So the whole case hinges on the word of the liar. The whole thing
To
he
a certain extent, yes, but it's also that there was a summary of the meeting that was sent to the aides, and then there's that whole WhatsApp exchange between her and the aide.
Yep.
And so those things happen when the conversation happened. It was right after. It was not 1 month later. It was not when
That
they
night
got caught. It was
But it's still from her account lah.
Yeah.
correct. I mean, but still, it's from her account. But in a sense, it's a place whereby she didn't need to say these things. Sorry, I also wondering. I'm at this stage whereby I also don't want to seem like I was just defending it because I feel like I do respect Mr. PRITAM. He's probably the one guy we're trying to get on the show also. I do respect him as
After this episode.
But my take is still fully that I don't think he lied to Parliament. I don't think he told Parliament, hey, I told her to go and own up. She never do it. My contention with him is that he should have done this the day he found out, August 8th.
Sure.
Not in October, not in wherever.
My contention is not even the timing, it's why be vague. I think the problem is that it's open to interpretation. If you are in a moment of crisis where your organization, right, its integrity is almost being questioned, be very, very explicit about the instruction. And I think that's the problem because we're really just debating about the interpretation.
You should have just ordered her to do it.
Yes.
As being black and white.
Exactly. Because this whole episode could really last for hours,
Yeah.
right? I think it is pertinent for us to actually focus on the current development, which is that now the leader of the house has brought up this motion as to, figure out whether leader opposition is worthy of his current role. If there is a question of his integrity because of this one incident, is that a quality that would then negate his ability to be an effective LO and have these privileges? On the other hand, I think people are saying that, okay, the legal punishment has already taken place. Why does it seem that there's a political stacking of punishments?
Maybe I explain why the need for a leader of opposition.
Yeah.
It was a recognition that Singaporeans will want to have opposition in parliament always. Yeah. So then that was instituted to make Mr. PRITAM Singh a leader of opposition, of which then he get an office, he get a meeting room.
Double the pay.
Assistant.
Double pay. He can hire people now. He can hire more people also. He can talk more. He got more allotted time.
Yep.
And he got briefings with regards to especially national security. Singapore needs to make a decision. PRITAM is probably the only worthy leader of opposition we've seen so far. Do we drop him from that and then lose such a key talent that Singapore took 60 years to make one? Or we set the correct precedent for what is the correct attitude / moral code for a leader of opposition in parliament?
No, it's not just an opinion matter because the numbers say so. And this case took place and concluded prior to polling day. And on polling day, the voters of his GRC decided on the merits of that. Among other things, they balanced it up, right? And they were like, this is a person I still want representing me.
Yeah.
And they put him back in with not a reduced vote share or anything. In fact, I think Workers' Party is one of the few that maintained or even gained some votes in places.
To be fair, right? If we looked at the election, the 2025 election as a mandate, a resounding mandate for Mr. Lawrence Wong, the same should be actually applied to Mr. PRITAM Singh with regards to the results for his GRC actually.
Yeah.
My read of the situation was that we all agree that Raisa shouldn't have done that. She did that, and PRITAM hoped that nothing will happen of the lie, and so never say anything until he needs to say something.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the court found also. And I think by and large Singaporeans will be like, okay. Like we don't, I mean, maybe for a little bit of protest from you, but not much of a protest. Right? Like that's the truth as we accept it. So now the problem is, do we as Singaporeans feel like PAP or Parliament should pursue this matter to its end, meaning given the parliamentary disciplinary action, or PAP should take a high road on this one? What do you all think?
I think generally Singaporeans are happy with Mr. PRITAM Singh staying on as LO. I think there was a segment of people that go, okay, this is the first time that we're really having like a serious leader of opposition. Whatever we decide now will set a precedence from here on out.
And I agree with what John said in terms of his read, that people are largely okay with things to move forward as is.
Yep.
Because when you look at like all the comments online, right, most people are not actually commenting on whether or not he should be removed, but on why are we spending parliament time talking about this, right, rather than bread and butter issues. That's what most people are angry about actually when this new piece of news came out.
Yeah.
It's also in Lawrence Wong's power, if I'm not wrong, to just remove the leader of opposition title from PRITAM.
Yeah.
And then we call it a day. Do you think that's what Singaporeans want?
The conclusion here is foregone to me. Before Chinese New Year, he's not going to be leader of opposition in my opinion. And this is something that I saw in 2020 and I saw it being spoken about online and I was like, there's no way, right? Because there was something that was said by commenters online that this job, this position is a poison chalice, is something that you're going to get hit with later on. And at that time, I was like, what are you talking about? This is progress. The leader of opposition is it's a consolidation of a decade of like opposition movement. And then now I see it happening because what did he really get out of it? In my opinion, I don't think it shakes the needle too much that you need to fight over it tooth and nail. I don't think you need to expend political capital to keep this position.
I guess for some, it feels like you have now also created a pedestal in which you can chop somebody off.
Yeah.
And that's why, and I come back to the thing is that I saw, so I didn't see, but now I see how that position is like, so it's defense against the dark arts kind of position, right? It's like, you're kind of screwed. And if he loses it, I don't see it being existential to even the Workers' Party, even to his own GRC team. I don't think it matters. I think by the time we get to mid-year, we won't even care about this anymore.
In fact, I wanted to say Mr. PRITAM Singh should step down then. You are arguing about this title is so important to you that like you want to go through all this hassle. Take it. I want to focus on the bread and butter issues.
If I was a WP strategist, right, I would be like, basically put up no argument from now until the thing is voted on.
Yeah.
Whenever you have, whenever they make a speech talking about this, whenever leader of the house comes and argues, completely just say, okay, sure, and then move on to a policy argument. Make it look like only the PAP are arguing in this one room that they are talking about. You don't care about the position. Take it, leave it, I don't care. I don't care.
Exactly.
And then you will make them look a bit silly. and move on with your. If you want me to resign, I'll just resign and leave the position.
Yeah.
That's I think what I would play if I was WP strategist.
And people was wondering what was WP stance in the whole thing. Like there was actually a photo that they put out, like especially after Miss Indrani Raja came out with the motion, right? So it looked like it was in solidarity of Mr. Pritam Singh, because if you actually decode it properly, firstly, it was taken in Sengkang, which is where Raisa Khan was MP at. And then if you actually look at where Mr. Low was positioned, he is positioned just right behind, towards
just
the
behind
left.
his left shoulder.
Hey.
I wonder what does that mean?
Like he got his back.
He got his back.
The right shoulder, usually the right hand man very much
Oh, you do?
executional.
Oh.
Yeah.
But left is support.
In left is more of support.
There you go.
And if usually these kind of things happen within PR, right?
Yeah.
You will want to show a new possible leadership, especially in big listed companies, right? That you will want to show, I know got scandal on me now. Right hand man is already here. Right hand man have walked the ground, right? So, but he stood behind, showing that I am not right hand man. I'm not ready to. I'm not succeeding here. I'm not retaking over. He's still in charge.
Yeah. It was very, very intentional. You can just tell, like, look at it.
Which I think is not only for people, or genuinely only for people of Sengkang or Singapore, but I feel that picture is a message to the WP cadres. I think this is, if you think this is where you can challenge the SecGen position, if this is where you think you have vote no confidence or whatever it is that you want to do, don't. Because the entire party stands with him. Because this is the kind of thing.
Is it not an internal memo?
This is the kind of thing that leads to leadership challenges. When Chen Qiumao challenged Lau Tia Kang back in the day when he thought, because 2015 the Workers' Party got dragged through the mud, right? They lost so many, he challenged. He lost. Eventually, Lau Tia Kang, Mr. Lau Tia Kang maintained his position as SecGen, but it happened.
Or SDP with Cham Si Tong and Ji Sun as well.
This is the kind of thing that leads to internal party challenges.
But now it's like the top 3 people, like.
Exactly. This is if you were an opportunistic lower ranking Workers' Party member, this is the best time for you to try and make a move.
Young blood.
And they're showing don't try, because the entire party stands with the SecGen.
I think I think the assessment that him stepping down voluntarily and then not engaging, right? I think that is a good assessment for the short term. But history is very much painted by the victors. I think it's a short term thing that looks okay, but I think 5 years from now, 10 years from now, we will look back in the Wikipedia to say that he has to step down because he lied in Committee of Privileges.
Right. The whole optic of like...
Yeah, that's the single line that Singapore had, right? Last time we had one. Then after that, no more. What happened? Oh, the guy lied in thing, then got stripped off. Then did he remain in Parliament? Yeah, he remained in Parliament. And that's what... Which is not true, which is not wrong, right? But that's what 10 years from now, that's how we will summarize who was Pritam Singh. And if they step down, are they saying that you are right, I lie? Because he has spent the last 4 years saying, I no lie, right?
Yeah.
To come out and say, okay, since your thing I lie, I step down. It goes to say, yeah, you got me. You know what I mean?
I guess this comes down to whether he cares about his legacy more than anything else. Because to me, I only see each political maneuver in the context of the next election. Right. To me, everything you do from the day after polling day, right, it matters for the next polling day only. Because we will come back to this as I guarantee you, the next election, we will talk about this 1 week from now, before the polling day, before polling off day.
I think they will Google it and they will look at Wikipedia and they will read the backstory and they will ask ChatGPT, and then the summary will be, he was removed because he lied. And that will be the truth for the students that will learn about Singapore's political history. We look at, very similarly, the Albatross files. I think what was very interesting about the Albatross files is that without this information, or even with only some people knowing this information in government, we look at how we painted our history. Broadly, nothing much has changed, but you see how the phrasing and wording changed. Nothing material changed with the review of the Albatross files, but it angered a lot of Malaysians on, this was our history, this was the true history. But nothing materially changed. And I think many people see symbolically as the PAP finally recognizing an opposition, right? Because the PAP has always held this position that they are not here to hold to power forever. They want to do what's best for Singapore. And that until there is a worthy opposition, that they must do their best to win votes so that they can do right by Singapore. And by them appointing a leader of opposition is the first step in recognizing that there is worthy or there is credible opposition in Singapore, even though not big enough to form government. So I think it's short term, this seems cool, seems like the correct rebel thing to do. But I don't think WP should see themselves as that small rebel group anymore, because they are now a real force to be reckoned with.
But no one actually realizes how difficult this is actually for the PAP. Because, right, there is no way they actually could possibly win in this scenario. If you look at it, I would think that Mr. Pritam Singh is actually a pretty good collaborator for the PAP as an opposition member, ready to work with the PAP, given the circumstances.
Imagine Lim Tian as LO.
Exactly. And so
But there's just no need to imagine that.
if they were to keep the title of LO but appoint somebody else or assign it to somebody else, they don't know what that entity is.
But it's so weird to have a SecGen who's not LO.
Which is why it might undermine his leadership. So which is why I think, like when John mentioned that if Lawrence Wong or Prime Minister Lawrence Wong removes that title as a whole, I think that looks like the cleanest for everybody. But if they appoint someone else, then PAP is almost forcing WP's hand in a transition. How do they even decide? Like, is it chairman? Then it will be Miss Sylvia Chan, which then I think a lot of people are also saying, should she be held accountable to the whole ordeal also that happened?
This is their way of setting the WP up for even more crisis. Is that I make you pick a new SecGen. I make you do all these things.
Yeah.
So keeping the job, picking someone new is the PAP's best play. And that's the reason, because as we go to the wording of the motion, it indicates that there is a separate consideration for Mr. William and Mr. Faisal Manap and something that they will come to later. So that to me feels a bit like a bit of a threat. It's like, I deal with one first, and then based on that, if you guys go and nominate Sylvia to be a SecGen, then I'll come after her after that and like...
So if you're tired of this, guess what? It's going to drag on a little bit longer.
So, Mr. Pritam, please take one for the team.
Take one for the team. No, the three of them have to take one for the team.
Oh my God.
I think that every Singaporean wouldn't really care if the title of LO no longer existed.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Like when John asked the question, the first thought in my head is I don't care. Like I agree that it's also just a title, and then the two posts that I did run in our community channel regarding this topic, right? The first one was when the news first came out. I asked people whether they felt that Ms. Indrani Raja was right to table this, or whether it's a political move, or whether or not he shouldn't have been convicted in the first place. And overwhelmingly, people felt that it was a political move. And this was interesting because when I ran the second poll, which was on a scale of 1 to 5, how much would you say you trust our ruling party, PAP? Because I presume that based on the first answer, the second one would be people saying that they don't trust the PAP because they're just trying to play this up and capitalize. But again, overwhelmingly, they rated 4 and 5s.
I think both can be true, where there is full faith in the PAP government, but also recognize that, hey, I know what you're doing.
Yeah, and so that's why I think the sentiment on the ground is whatever you want to do, just get it over with, because we have things that we care about more.
Yes, like just faster do rather than
just rip the band-aid off and get out. But so if that's the case, right, then why do I need to listen to Parliament debate about it and then eventually vote on the way I know they're going to vote? If there's nothing fundamentally going to change, if everybody agrees with the court and therefore you agree with the wording of the motion, then am I going to really have to sit through more hours? I was watching the Parliament
But then by this note, then we shouldn't vote on anything, right? Then why we need 1/3?
Because as in other things are not being voted on by the courts.
And this
the court doesn't vote on the budget before, ma.
And something like we mentioned is that it has come down to an election and the people have also voted.
Yeah, the courts have spoken, the people have spoken.
Yeah.
Now Parliament need to speak also. Like, come on, everybody say the same thing, just say the same thing and get on with it. Now you're going to push the motion, you're going to do
so,
this.
Okay, so what you personally are hoping for is that when the courts gave the verdict, the appeal has failed, that PM just come out and strip you on the title and then we move on.
Done. The one parallel that I keep seeing online is how come nothing of this scale happened when the former Speaker of the House, Mr. Tan Chuan Jin, was discovered to have revealed to have extramarital affair, blah blah blah, ethical concerns, and then PM knew about it, told him to cut it. So he knew about it. He told him to cut it out. He told him both of you stop, stop it, and then. As I tell you to stop it, also go and get ready to transition out because I'm going to get rid. I'm telling you, this is your warning. You're going to get done, dirty. But they chose not to heed his warning and they chose to continue with their...
That's the exact same story. As in, I'm saying that my point was that this is being seen as theatre because they don't hold themselves to the same standard when arguably something worse has happened in terms of the PAP situation. And so it's like, how come now, right, for something that allegedly is a misrepresentation or misinterpretation of what Mr. Pritam Singh said, you go so far as to like call this vote and everything. It's like they acting as though like they are so integrity, but actually no, that's the problem.
I'm not sure if they're acting like they have the moral high ground. I think it's more of a code of conducting because I think there was at no point where they said Pritam lied in Parliament. I think that was never in contention. But in the community of inquiry and privileges, that was where he might have omitted the truth and or found to be lying. So never say he lied, it's interpreted that he is lying. Whereas you compare that in Tan Chuan Jin's case, for example, he never actually did get caught. Right? And he was not flouting any rules in Parliament. It was a party conduct. And then he got ousted after given time to not do anything. I think a apple-to-apple comparison is previous Transport Minister Iswaran, where when he got caught taking things. Then a committee of inquiry and privileges was convened. I don't know whether got privileges. I think it's inquiry. Was convened. And then he said what he said. He feel like he know wrong. But based on he say what he say, the judge conclude that, okay, wrong. And then they, for no reason, drag this out and then throw him to prison. I feel like
Wait, but it's also not apples and grapefruit because
that's the worst comparison.
It's not very clearly like there was tangible things that he took, right? So then like, even if you say, oh, I don't assume this as a bribe, bro, like who you lying to kind of thing. And that brings me to when it reminds me of COVID when Dr. Vivian claimed that he mistakenly spoke that trace together data would not be used for anything other than for contact tracing. Yeah. But then he came out later to say, actually, sorry, the police do use this data. We do give it to them for crimes, serious crimes and all that. And then people don't go, you liar. Is, okay, Lord, we trust that you made a mistake. You know, and I assume he probably did. Someone in civil service probably made a mistake, never checked the provisions and then go use data.
Did he come out and say he made a mistake?
No, he did come out and he came...
There's the difference then.
No, so then I believe there is a mistake. I never say, you liar, COP. So I never, right? Nobody was calling for stuff like that because we understand we were in a situation, he did something and then he realized actually it's not why he was, I'm not him, sorry. Yeah. His people did something and then data was shared that shouldn't have been.
The slight difference I think is that he made the blunder, then he get to self-correct.
He took ownership of the blunder.
The difference is that Raisa did, then Raisa got COI.
No.
Yes.
She left before anything. She
got caught. Then there was an investigation on Raisa and then PRITAM got involved. I think that is the difference.
No, but when you say this, right, how I interpret it is you are saying it is okay if I am hiding things from the public and I'm not a so-called man of integrity as long as I don't say any false things in parliament. That's what it sounds like to me. You know what I mean? Like you're saying that now one person because they lie in parliament, therefore there's this whole proceedings, and the other one because they didn't lie in parliament. So even though there was a big thing hidden from the public that could have had a lot of implications, that's okay. Maybe you all can also let me know down in the comments, right? What do you all think about this? So after everything that we've talked about, right, what are your personal takeaways?
I think that the position needs to be, like some level of integrity needs to be upheld, but I still think that Mr. PRITAM Singh is still the best leader of opposition, whether there's a formal role or whether he actually is the leader of WP. I still think that he's the best.
So despite the precedent that he might set if we let him continue, the country should retain talent.
Yeah, because I think at the end of the day, his question of integrity and whether he lied or not was based on a very, like in my opinion, a vague statement that was given, but I can see why intention and interpretation could have been mixed up. And so I think based on just that one sentence alone, I don't think it's good enough to strip him of his political holdings or capital of everything that he's done. I do think that it's a political move, but I also think that the proceedings of parliament need to be upheld because it is an institution that has certain rules and regulations. To me, just remove the title of LO and keep everything else as it is.
Actually, after everything that we talk about, I personally lean towards where Dan is because we talked about how the court has made its judgment. At the same time, the people have elected him. So then the only thing that is left is the very specific parliamentary discipline, which is then just this title. So removing that then sounds like, okay, now everything is closed.
I do feel from all this that the PAP have put themselves in the corner here. You know, they have to go to the end of the sentence. They have to take the office away because if not, then the motion is meaningless.
I see why many people feel like it's like a theatrical thing that's being dragged out. But I do feel like it's a due process that needs to be followed because they voted to postpone and then now postpone. So we need to do it. Do PM unilaterally decide, I'm going to take away, you don't deserve it. Like, no lah, the correct way is let's have parliament talk about it. Even if I'm going to remove it at the end, I want to say why, then I want to hear your side or why not. But I do feel like to a certain extent as a maturing democracy, I'm very interested and I think it's necessary to play this out.
And with that, we've come to the end of the episode. Let us know your thoughts down below. Where do you personally stand? Like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.